Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. A new round of talks between the Russians and the Americans in Istanbul, Turkey. What's on the agenda, what they will talk about, and what could be the consequences for the Europeans who are trying to grab as much as they can from Ukraine now that Ukraine is out of grasp. And I'm going to show you the baboons in Switzerland who will try to be playing the Johnny-come-lately to the party, which is we're gonna help you reconstruct Ukraine. Oh my God, here it is, my friends. Let's start with the first topic. All right, the first topic comes from New Voice of Ukraine. US and Russia resume talks in Istanbul, today, April 9th, 2025. Now, can you spot the traitor here? Is this a traitor? No. Is it a traitor? No. I mean, who's not belonging here? Who's the mole? Not a traitor, not a traitor, not a traitor, not a traitor, not a traitor. So all that picture right here, not traitors. This part right here, Mr. Vitkov. Why am I saying that? I'm just making a little parenthesis on that. Mr. Vitkov is the US Middle East envoy. What is he doing talking about Ukraine? Is it because he's a Stein and Zelensky is a Stein? Is it? I will tell you a story. Oh my God. I tell you now? I tell you now. No, I'll tell you later. How the Romanian security were always infiltrating the sports. So when the Romanians went to the Olympics, they always had in their world tournaments, they almost always, in the communist times, had the security forces to make sure these guys are doing what they're supposed to do and they don't say shit. That's Mr. Vitkov. Vitkov right here, he makes sure that these two baboons right here are following what they need to follow. That's why he's over there. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but hey, you understand what I'm talking about? Let's go further down. The United States and Russia will resume talks on April 10th in Istanbul to discuss the functioning of their diplomatic missions. All right, and that is Bruce. And Bruce Lee is, where are you, baby doll? Right here, Bruce. Washington unveils date and agenda of new Russian-US talks. The issue of Ukraine will absolutely not be discussed, according to the US State Department. I used to hear her, Tammy Bruce. I used to hear her a lot when she was invited at Tucker Carlson. She's a lesbian because they like to be really identified and known that they are liking differently. But like, I do give a shit. What do you have here and what do you have here? That's all that matters. For me, if whomever you... doesn't really matter. All right, let's move on. So Bruce said the Ukraine will not be absolutely not discussed. On April 10th, US and Russian delegations will meet for the second time in Istanbul to try to make progress on further stabilizing the operations of our bilateral missions. Excellent, man. Excellent. These guys are smart. In order to talk, let's make sure that we have the right channels. Let's make that like the phone. Let's put a phone in function. Okay, that's what operational. And then we're going to focus to the next one. It's fantastic. These guys seem to be Europeans. What do I mean by that? Maybe Greco-Romans. Let's put it this way to be nicer. All right, she said that. Bilateral missions. There are no political or security issues on the agenda, and Ukraine is not, absolutely not, on the agenda. Got it? Let's go to the next one right here. US and Russia to hold talks in Istanbul on embassy operations. All right, and then we have right here, who is crying about it? According to the Russians, this article from 9th of April, European Union and United Kingdom are at odds with US over Ukraine peace efforts. Russian diplomat. President Trump has caused a serious chasm in the West as other nations pursue conflicting goals. Jesus Christ. Purse. Yeah, I got a purse. Dmitry Polyansky has warned the UK and the European Union are pursuing objectives in the Ukrainian conflict to clash with Washington's pro-peace efforts. According to the thing is, the Americans agreed. This is when things don't work. What do? You change something. You maybe stop the whole thing, reanalyze, reassess, replan, and then go back. That's what you do. The Americans are already there. They're already doing something. So the American says, hold on, time out. Something is not working in Ukraine. That is, Putin is not, all right? Russia is not like this. We are not in grabbing all the resources. Then what? Well, plan B. Let's try that through the back door. You know what I mean? Through the back door? All right. That is, befriend Russia. And befriend Russia, get Russia to the bar. What's up, Ivan? Good, yeah. All right. How are things? I'm sorry about that thing, Ukraine. Here's some more vodka. God damn it. And after Ivan gets a little bit with his guard, Ivan is like this now, I hope. Well, this guy is giving his own. Okay, when is that? And Ivan says, okay, man, maybe you're not as bad, man. Hey, look at that girl. When he's doing, look at that girl and points out that way, then the American's like, now is the time. Gets on his throat with his dagger. That's what I try to do right now. Oh, let's be friends. Let's be friends. And when we're friends, we're gonna ooze inside you again. And when we ooze inside of you, we're gonna just develop certain things. And little by little, we climb, we infiltrate, and then we, hey, look what's over there. And whether Ivan will be like, where? Psst. That's what they try to do now. But the Europeans are not there yet. The Europeans are like, we're still fighting? Are we fighting? No, we weren't fighting in the first place. They were fighting. So they're still over there. They think we're going to squeeze it as much as we can. Why? There's still some things to drip out of this squeeze in Ukraine. So that's why this guy says pursuing objectives. In an interview with Russia Today on Tuesday, Polyansky stated that US President Donald Trump's call for a negotiated solution of the conflict, viewed by Moscow as a Western proxy war against Russia, has created a rift with European allies who are unwilling to alter their positions. No, they're not, because they're still wishful thinking right there. Things are going their way. They're still living in their made-believe, how should I put it? It's delusional world that they have. And for that, let me show you how these guys are the profiteers. Some of them, Johnny come lately, Switzerland, the neutral Switzerland, comes and says, we can help. What a big beak over there. I'm all right. Ukraine, Switzerland expand a reconstruction program to 100 million Swiss francs. What do you think that reconstruction means? Ukraine and Switzerland have signed an agreement to increase funding for reconstruction projects in Ukraine from 50 to 100 million Swiss francs. That is this. And this is the Swiss Federal Council for Ukraine Ambassador Jacques Gerber. Oh, I have a feeling. I gotta have a feeling. All right. So what does that mean, you think? Just the Swiss have a big heart? The bankers have a big heart? They have no heart. They go over there and say, hey, government, we're going to reconstruct. How? We're going to give you some money with interest. And then you'll be bound to that, to pay back. And who's going to be reconstruct? Some companies. Where are those companies coming from? Do you think they come from China? Do you think they come from Russia? Iran? Or I don't know. No, they come from us. So that we secure our businesses in Switzerland or wherever in Europe or West to reconstruct something that we planned and the Russians destroyed. According to whose plan? So the more we strike Russia, more we. Through Ukraine, the Russians will destroy in Ukraine and we will reconstruct. So for us, that's times, man, celebration right there. The more the Russians destroy, the more we have to reconstruct with someone else's money. And guess who's going to work? Not the Ukrainian men, because Ukrainian men are not there anymore. Besides, Ukraine as a nation will be reconstructed with the help of other men from other continents. And when the continents are going to be coming to Europe, they're going to recreate the blonde, blue-eyed Ukrainian nation. Oh my God, no, I'm not talking about those guys. No. Not about those guys, you know what I mean. No, but take a look at the Ukrainians a little bit, okay? Not Zelensky. Zelensky is like me, you know. He's not Ukrainian. Look at Zaluzny. Zaluzny looks Ukrainian with the round head, but is not that blonde yet. My friends, here it is. These guys are trying right now to shackle Ukraine through all kind of little treaties and understandings and sign all kind of things, because they think that when the government is treasonous government that is in charge of the Ukrainian nation right now is going to be slapped around, the new one will be bound to do these treaties. So when I say, oh my, what did we inherit from the other baboons? Oh my God, we have to pay this International Monetary Fund, all the bankers that want to help, the World Bank, the Rothschilds, or whomever they are over there, these guys right here, the help that the Europeans gave us as loans. Now we have to pay back. Why? It's right there. The country, the legitimate rulers of the country, that's a legitimate document. So that means you guys were shackled. Now get the fuck to work. Women, spread your legs. We're going to bring the guys, right? We're going to bring the guys to help you a little bit, give you some loving and some working. I don't know who's going to work, but anyway, that's how I foresee. So Ukraine, don't worry. You're going to stay as Ukraine as you were before. Why? Nice try. You were used by the baboons in the West who tried to destroy not only Europe, but the European or the Western civilization, which is Greek and Roman civilization, not the goat-herding, illiterate, you know what I mean. Thank you very much for being with me again today. And the Russians and the Americans, very good. The more they talk and the more they meet, I hope they want to come up with something. And it seems like the direction is good so far. At least they're talking, and they're talking civilized. And from equal to equal, not as the Americans like to do it. And it's not that they like to do it because they're necessarily bad people. They are, they are. So then why should they? I'd rather grab it than waste time convincing you. Smack you, grab it, and go get over it. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.